Alright. Okay. Our party has completed Pool of Radiance. Not quite as optimized as they possibly could be. And Randus is actually from the level drain, a full 2,500 experience behind. Everybody else, I think, is going to make 8th level once we're done with everything, but that's okay. He'll catch up fast enough. Especially if you play it casually, you get a lot of experience in Curse of the Azure Bonds, too. First thing I'm going to have to do is rearrange the party because they came in alphabetical order, and I wasn't paying a super huge amount of attention to that. Well, let's go ahead and start the game. You awaken in a small room. Looking around, you notice that all your gear is gone, as is your memory of recent events. Adding to your disquiet, you notice that your sword arm has been somehow imprinted with strange patterns. The rest of your party are identically marked. Fascinating little design there. So, Curse of the Azure Bonds is slightly unusual. I better get the journal ready as well, because that's right, I'm reading all the journal entries. I almost forgot about that somehow. They actually have an introductory section, too, but Curse of the Azure Bonds is unique compared to the rest of the series because it is based on a book, Azure Bonds, that takes place, and so a lot of the characters you meet are based on that. So it's a combination sequel to the Pool of Radiance game and the Azure Bonds book. Although there are other stories that follow, and they basically do not count this game as canon among them, so... But it's still interesting. Anyway, introduction, or what are we doing in Tilverton anyway? Journal entry 1. I am beginning a new journal. My old journal is gone, along with all of the party's equipment. I write here to try to make some sense out of our spotty memories. We had all agreed to come south to Tilverton to seek the lost princess, Nicasia of Cormyr. Tilverton is on the border between the Dale Lands and Cormyr, and was the last place the princess had been spotted. Rumor was that King Azaun's youngest daughter, the Princess Nicasia, ran away from the royal household of Cormyr almost a year ago. She fled an arranged marriage and ran off with a cleric from Tilverton named Gari of Gond. Meaning that he's a priest, a cleric of Gond, the god of thieves and trickery. The latest word was that Nicasia and Gari had a falling out and that she was seen near Tilverton recently. The king had a large reward out for Nicasia's return. A smart group of adventurers like ourselves could make some powerful friends if they found the princess and returned her to the king. Somewhere along the road to Tilverton, we were attacked. The brigands must have been invisible because some of our party went down before we knew what was going on. I vaguely remember dark faces and evil-looking helmets firing crossbows into our midst. The crossbow hits were not fatal, but every hit seemed to drop its target. I remember getting hit in the arm. The wound blazed like fire. My head swam. Just before I blacked out, I thought that this was a bad end for such experienced adventurers. Now we awaken Tilverton with our wounds healed. Our equipment is gone, but we have found a stash of coins. One of our first priorities must be to buy new equipment. I overheard a servant mention the date, but I'm not sure I believe it. If the servant speaks true, it is almost a month since the ambush. Almost anything could have happened in that time. It seems that almost anything did. Each of us awoke with 5 azure blue symbols imprinted on our sword arm. These symbols are not tattoos, they seem to exist below the skin. They occasionally feel like they're moving. We have devised a plan of attack. Our spellcasters will prepare their spells, we will purchase new arms and armor, then we are going out into Tilverton to find out what is going on. Someone must know, and I don't care if we have to roust every sage, priest, and bartender in this town to find out. There are some random printed notes I have collected. Their information may be important on our journey. My journal notes continue on page 10. And then the rest of that is a bunch of information on the Dale Lands and the map and all that. Various groups of powers. I'm not going to spend all the time reading that. It's mostly for the new player to know, but not super duper important to the story. Most of it's brought out. So, first thing we need to do, go ahead and increase the speed to max, change our order. Okay, that's fine for that. Now we need to memorize. Might be good to actually, yeah, especially with Fix. I'm going to go ahead and memorize a Detect Magic to help me remember what is good or not. Silence is also relatively useful, but a little bit even worse to rely on than Hold Person. I may swap to it if I find us getting overwhelmed a bit much, but it's going to be a lot trickier and harder playing this one casually than in my speedruns, since we won't be using Dust of Disappearance on every little thing. Shoot a Spell Magic's one prayer is probably fine. Then I cast that before the battle. And Sleep is actually useful in the first fight. Oh, I need to memorize, that was a little bit more. Okay, 2 magic missiles, 2 sleeps. For some reason, the guards are weak enough to be vulnerable to sleep, but they're about the only enemies in the game that are. Havron's taking the lead because he's first alphabetically, and also he has the most hit points, so whatever, we'll have him save that. Randus was the one who got hit by the whatchamacallit, so that's not surprising. Merrimack did have a 19 Constitution, but that did not save over because he used the manual bodily health, but unfortunately that didn't save over. One of the reasons why I've never bothered to use that casually or in the speedrun, or, you know, multiply it to give everybody super Constitution. Welcome to the fair city of Tilverton, beams the innkeeper. Then she notices your collective scowls. Please calm down while I explain. You listen and you record it in Journal Entry 31. Perhaps the sage will help. You can get weapons from the shop across the way. Okay, Journal Entry 31. You were brought in by a group in red robes. They said they'd found you on the road near death. They paid for your rooms in advance, so you can stay as long as you'd like. You had those tattoos when you came in, but I've never seen anything like them. Filani the Sage could help you, though. You should go see her, 2 blocks north. Windlord's Inn. Weapons of Cormyr. Selection of the finest Cormyr steel. You interested? Yes, let's see. So, let's see. I'll go ahead and give everybody bows. Useful enough to get. Plate mail slows you down quite a bit, but it's also the best armor and affordable, so we'll have some fast enough people. I'll go ahead and give her banded mail, so she's a little quicker, since she's going to be largely in the back using bows. Rather, she'll be relying on her bows as opposed to the other 3 who are going to use them occasionally. Cleric is mostly now going to be at range using a staff sling, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I'm even going to bother buying anything for my mage. Alright. Are we going to have money to train up the people we need to train is the question. Maybe I shouldn't worry about it yet then. Because with the buying of this equipment, Alright, for a starting spell, Confusion can be really powerful. Globe of Invulnerability. There are lots of decent spells in 4th level, but nothing really dominant like Fireball and Lightning Bolt tend to be. Ice Storm might be the best for now. Okay, so they don't care what time of day you come into shop here. That's rather nice. Yeah, we're just shy of having enough for everybody else to train, so... Oh, can those... I forgot to check if those two at the very least can train. Maybe all 3 of them. Or all 4 of us. Come to think of it. Well, he won't regardless. Oh, that's right. They're at the, so they do need to gain 1, so... No, we should be fine. I don't need to worry about it. We'll actually be fine. Okay. I am the Sage Filani. You are here about the sigils, correct? This is an interesting case. I'll do it for half your funds. How much do you have? Tell the truth. Lying is generally not good in a lot of these places. I think she sees through your lies and gets upset at you, but we'll only need a little bit of more money going forward. Journal entry 38. You bear the symbol of 5 different organizations. 3 I recognize, 1 I've never seen, and the last causes me some concern. The Flame and Dagger is the symbol of the Fire Knives, a group of assassins who last operated out of Westgate. That group had been destroyed, so they must have a new base of operation. I fear I do not know where. The Mouth and the Palm is the symbol of the god Moander. This god was banished from the world, but he reappeared briefly as a pile of filth. It laid waste to a section of the city of Ulash before its defeat. The cult's color of choice is green. The ornate Z in the triangle is the symbol of the Zentrum, the Black Network. These are an evil alliance of priests, mages, and thieves operating out of Zentil Keep. Some say that they run Zentil Keep. The flaming symbol I've never seen, so I can give you no information. The last symbol with the crescent moon bears a disturbing similarity to a powerful sage in Shadowdale. For my own safety, I'll say no more about it. And the symbol she's talking about is Elminster's, of course, probably he's the Gandalf of the Forgotten Realms, basically. So it isn't actually his, though. The mage who crafted the symbol is a wannabe, which we'll learn about more later. This is optional, but it's interesting to come in here. An acolyte greets you. If you want healing, pray at the altar. The High Priest residence is in the south. He bows and walks away. So let's go see the High Priest. I am the High Priest. You look troubled, my children. Do you wish to tell me your story? He listens sympathetically and casts a remove curse spell, and you report it in journal entry 19. As the cleric casts the spell, the bonds begin to glow brightly. Arcs of blue flame shoot out from them and strike about the room. The characters begin to writhe in extreme pain. The cleric ceases the spell. These bonds fight my powers. Removing them is beyond me. I wish you better luck. Go with Gond. So even a big high priest can't remove these, which is just to show how absolutely terrible this curse we've got is. You encounter a group of royal guards. They tell you that this way is closed because of the royal carriage is coming soon, and they send you back. Then you have to approach it again. You encounter a group of royal guards. They say, "Make way for the royal carriage!" You hear the king's voice coming from the carriage. Suddenly the sigils on your arm glow brightly. You find yourself unable to resist a compulsion to attack the royal carriage. As the carriage retreats, a young man leans out and croaks, "Don't kill me, I'm not really the king!" Then as he spots your blue markings, he faints back, crying, "Oh no, not again!" The glow begins to fade. A loud bell starts ringing behind you. The guards rush toward you with swords drawn. I don't think it's even possible for me to put my own characters to sleep, but out of habit, I don't even want to give it a shot. You see, beyond the charging guards, 2 red-robed men jump the carriage. They haul out a thin man and drag him into an alleyway. One calls out, "Do you surrender?" You are thrown in jail. The guards, not the red-robed people. After a few hours, one wall slides open and a thief appears. He hands you your equipment and signals you to follow him. The man leads you through hidden passages, emerging in a dark underground area, the Thieves' Guild. Before you stands a burly man surrounded by several alert bodyguards. He looks somewhat nervous. "You look a little rocky. Care to rest?" So now we can memorize our new spells, including our 4th level spells, which will make fixing slightly faster. So now with Fix, it's going to be a lot easier to recover from all of our adventures, so that's very nice. You can rest as long as you want to, amusingly. But the minute you try to take a step, everything starts. Okay, let's continue. The Fire Knives have the King's daughter in the Hideout, hoping to lure him into a trap. I cannot directly intervene, but I can offer information. Suddenly, the side door explodes inward with a deafening crash. "Traitorous scum!" hisses the Fire Knife. "Seize them all!" he commands his sizable band of thieves. As his men spread out, the Guildmaster hurls a poisoned dagger which catches the Fire Knife in the throat. His body slumps to the floor, twitching violently. As you prepare to meet the onslaught, an arrow hits the Guildmaster in the chest, and then the battle is fully joined. They're going to be charging at us soon enough, so... Nice, 3 holds. Something I wish I got a lot more in my speedruns. This be a good time to throw a fireball. Not as good as I'd hoped it would be. But the fact that only a few thieves, just quick combat her. Just about all the thieves are injured, which is nice. Very, very quick battle. He has more arrows, which... only 5 on each of them. Not very many arrows. We'll go and take those, though. The Guildmaster gasps, "On balance, I'd rather be in you, Lash," and then he dies. You find information on his body and log it as Journal Entry 4. A map marked Sewers. So this map is, actually incredibly useful for making your way through the sewers overall. The only problem is that there are like 2 checkpoints if you follow it directly. There's a slightly safer route that avoids most encounters that you can take otherwise. Similar to my speedruns, I'm going to be skipping most of the random encounters. They do not give much in the way of experience or good loot, and just take up time, so I'm going to be doing a lot of saving and quitting for that. Here on the table is an open guest book. The last entry reads, "Oh, Rustkettle, Bard of the Realms, touch the harp and lose your hand." She's a thief who claims to be a bard, Olive Rustkettle, a halfling would-be bard. We'll actually encounter her later on. At the end of the corridor, you see a halfling with a harp dodge into a doorway and disappear. One of the many characters from Azure Bonds, basically the cameos they get. Your entry is greeted by hungry snarls. A fire knife releases the pack. Poor doggos. Let's see. Very low roll, but 13 was enough to kill the dogs, so... They're farther than this. Should have next. There we go. Alright, not a bad fight. Probably only a few arrows left, right? Yeah, 5 again. The room is littered with gnawed bones and leashes. Getting bad luck. It's a wizard-locked door, so... But we're generally... Still only takes one try most of the time. It's impossible to pick as well, so... Okay, banded mail +1, longsword +1 for now. Ironstone Deep Red is... what stat? I don't think it actually matters, because all of us have at least 18 stats, so I don't think I need it. The potions can be useful for some fights. The dust can be useful as well. I think this has a bunch of 4th level magic user spells on it, so that's also useful to grab. Dust we'll leave on the cleric for now, because cleric's going to have the least amount of stuff. Alright, longsword +1. What do we have? The Downstone? I'll go ahead and take it for now. I might look up what it does. I remember that when I played casually as a kid, I usually used a Dwarven Fighter Thief, and there's an Ironstone that gives dexterity at some point early on. It's one of these, so you could get him to an 18 dexterity, which was really helpful. Which basically counteracts the only disadvantage to having a Dwarven Thief, is their max dexterity is 17. Door is stout enough to hold against an attack. You could rest here safely. Nice logic, although if they knew that there was somebody in here, they could also just spend the whole time banging on the door waiting for us to leave and then get us, but whatever. Alright, and we're attacked immediately. By a menagerie, yeah. Nope, not happening. When I get ready to speedrun on this version, I can probably speed up this loading by adjusting some of the options, similar to what I did with Pool of Radiance. Which I never talked about, but there's some interesting settings you can do. Remain calm. They yell as they run past the fire knives. They're pushing up from the south. They're boiling out of the sewers. Although, interestingly, you never encounter any fire knives in the sewers unless you hit their checkpoints. Number of cages, the once held monkeys. Showing that the monkeys are some of the more annoying encounters here. Although, it's largely because of their mages. The mages in the group are naturally the most annoying because they can cast stinking clouds, they can cast magic missiles to do unavoidable damage. You are entering the foul-smelling, slime-covered sewers of Tilverton. Because of the slippery footing and low ceiling, it is apparent that fighting will be awkward. There are several points where our movement is halved in the sewers, and that's basically the explanation for it. You still hear the occasional sounds of battle echoing from the guild hall. You spot something flapping on the ceiling. To tell what it is, someone will need to climb up. Does anyone want to? Only a thief could succeed. I don't have a thief, so maybe eventually I'll have a thief, but not at the moment. Here, a piece of paper pokes above the muck. You record it in journal entry 41. The paper is heavily soiled, but you can make out knives untrustworthy, cultists unreliable, wizard insane, and tea seems very dangerous. Expect little reliability from the new alliance, especially over the bonded subject. We'll need to set up our own observation team. Probably from somebody in the Zentil group, because it mentioned the other 4 factions, including T. No clue who T is, considering who we just beat in the last game. Definitely no clue. Alright, now, what is 4? It's always a thing, an Otyug lair. Do I want to kill these Otyugs? I think these Otyugs don't have anything in the way of treasure, so I'm going to avoid this group. I will go ahead and do the quest for the other Otyugs that I always forego in the speedrun. You get some good treasure and stuff out of that, which would be good to have. But I don't think that these first group of Otyugs are worth tangling with. You hear the shuffling of large feet, but can't locate the direction because of the echoes. Stuffed in a crevice here are the slain bodies of 2 red-robed assassins. It would take something powerful to have lodged them so tightly. All of these little descriptions are very nicely well done. They're good for these old kinds of games. The remains of a body is here. The arm is marked with defective versions of the sigils on your arm. Some of this stuff, the flavor that it gives, doesn't really have much of an explanation. Piles of excrement have been shaped into pyramids here. Many Otyug are smoothing the sides and making artistic embellishments. A glint of metal comes from one pile. What do? Bargain. A telepathic buzz fills your mind. If you wish the shiny thing, then we must have treasure in return. To the south are others of our ilk who have 2 fine-smelling piles of food. Bring us those. We will agree, so we only have to fight 1 group of Otyugs for a lot of treasure, instead of 2 different Otyug groups for the treasure, so... this is a relatively tough fight, so we'll go ahead and... Let's see. Age is actually going to become a concern if I pump out a lot of haste spells, because my characters are already decent aged, but still... I can probably get by without it. Once you get to Secret of the Silver Blades, you can buy Elixirs of Youth. And so you can drink those to counteract the effects of the haste spell. But for now, I think we're going to not rely on that too much. The room is filled with filth, though most of the smell comes from 2 piles near the center. The Otyug attack immediately. Okay, oh yeah, there's only 4 Otyugs and a Neo-Otyug. For some reason, I remember this being a lot scarier when I moved in here accidentally. They either resist cold or I did a very low roll. They're immune to missiles, I think. I can't remember how much that applies in this game. I did... Wow. Hitting. Sheesh. Your hits are good. Yeah, there's our half movement. Nice, choke some gags. The Neo-Atyug is pretty tough. A lot of hit points compared to the other Atyugs. Okay, so they still do take damage from missiles, which is good. Wow, Randus got messed up pretty nicely. It is obvious which piles of the other Atyug wanted. Though unpleasant, you believe you could carry them back to the other Atyugs. Do you want to? Yes, with the monsters defeated, this looks like a safe place to rest. The Atyug bounce about in apparent joy of your gifts. They pluck the object from the fetid pyramid and toss it to you, then relieve you of your unpleasant baggage of trash. You may pass through freely. The object is a glittering piece of jewelry ornately sculpted in the symbol of the Zentrim. The object looks to have been worn until recently. You are given a few other trinkets as well. So 5 gems and 2 jewelry, which is potentially a lot of money. It will be random when we check it, but... Pieces of troll lie strewn about here. What do you do? Burn them. You quickly steer the pieces into inactivity. You sit and watch them, they grow into a full troll that attacks you. That's what passes for a random encounter here in the sewers, thankfully. Burnt into the wall here is the symbol of a hand with a mouth for a palm. Faint stench of decayed flesh seems to hang here. There are 2 troll lairs here, one that I always go to in the speedrun as well because it has treasure. This first one does not have treasure, so we're going to ignore it. After all, we all have plenty of experience to level with. Although, unfortunately, we don't have direct money as it is to level, so we might not be able to do it here. Unless we happen to get some cash from these Atyug. Or from these trolls. As you open the door, hands reach down from above. Then comes a deep bass voice. Wait, you're not Bone Grinder. Well, you'll probably taste better. Let's see, yeah. That'll get the 3 trolls, but not me. Wowee. They're already almost dead. Oh my. Oh, we are so much tougher. Okay, that was easy. Okay, another Ion Stone. Which probably won't matter. Flail and Staff Sling. Bracers. And this is a girdle of the dwarves, which lowers charisma but raises constitution. Another reason to take the Dwarven Fighter Thief as a possibility specifically for this game, if you're doing a party for it one-off, is that now you get to throw on the Girdle of the Dwarves, which will lower the thief's charisma down to a 15, because dwarves have a max 16 charisma. Doesn't matter all that much. The +1 charisma from the Girdle of the Dwarves will give them a 20 charisma, which actually will allow them to regenerate 1 hit point every few minutes all on their own, which is kind of nice. As well as getting more points from the fighter class hit point bonus, but isn't a big deal. Oh, but that's right. It re-rolls when you do that, so it's actually messed up. Darn. So now his maximum hit points have actually gone kaput. Ouch, I forgot about that glitch. I'm going to reload and not do the Girdle of the Dwarves. I don't know why that glitch exists in... It didn't exist in the Atari ST version that I played as a kid. But for some reason is a thing here. It sets you like minimum HP or something crazy. I'm not sure what triggers it or why it does it, but I did notice this was a problem when I started doing the speedruns too, but I'd forgotten about it because it had been so long. I mostly ignored the girdle since it isn't all that helpful. Let's see, this was... You can move on as well, and that's not a problem. Okay, so we need to get our treasure back here. So there was a little bit that I thought I saved right before the trolls, but I apparently forgot. That's not a big deal. Let's see, I can only get 3 of them without hitting my party. Alright, not quite as easy, but whatever. Okay, we'll take the bracers, and I guess the ion stone, have you take those. We'll leave the girdle behind. We can drop those. Use this staff sling +1 now. Bracers, so now she finally has an okay armor class if something comes and attacks her. Now I have a deep red ion stone and a... whatever she has, the deep pink and green ion stone. Let's see, with the amount of money I have, I could probably train 5 of my characters. If I actually just trade... Unless I can, it doesn't cost any money with the thieves, which I doubt, but we'll find out. You found a secret door to the east. You enter the hidden chambers. Your train? Yes. Yeah, it's saying can't afford. Even at only 3,000 cycles, which is the default, it goes too fast to see some of these. Unfortunately, I wish that they would allow us to appraise the jewelry and gems here. That would actually give us enough money for certain. Because we have a decent amount of it, so... I will not train Jara for now. The 3 up front, getting them more hit points would be good. Lakia and Vazia more spells would be good, so... Let's go ahead and trade. Havron. Oh, it only did 3. Even... Eighth level fighter. He's perfectly fine. Havron is over 104, the others are 20 behind. That's the difference. Oh, that's an interesting bug. I got a positive bug. Take a look here. Jara has an 18,100 strength. Let's make sure it's working properly now that I'm looking at that. Yes, Thaco 11, damage 1d8 plus 6 with a normal longsword. So she was wearing the Gauntlets of Ogre Power that I picked up, which set her strength to 18,100. And if I had taken them off normally, it would have reduced her strength back to the 1850 that a female human normally has at a maximum. But for whatever reason, the glitch in the game, it corrected the permanent constitution bonus that one of my characters got from using the Manual of Health. But it, because it was not unequipped in the regular way, it set her strength permanently to 18,100. That's actually pretty nice. Okay, train him to be a level 8 fighter. Okay, so now she'll get more spells. And she's probably going to go ahead and need 40 platinum. Alright, now... Minor Globe, Fumble, Fear, Fumble, and Fire Shield. I'm pretty sure I remember the 3 F spells are all on one scroll, along with Confusion and Charm Monster, and maybe Minor Globe of Invulnerability. I'm going to go ahead and learn Remove Curse for now then, just in case I need to do that. I shouldn't, but we will see. So now Jara is a level behind, but she'll catch up eventually once we get some more cash. Just search around this area to find us again. Okay, we're also allowed to rest here. If you try to rest in regular places in the sewers, that's how you can get random encounters. Let's go and do another Fireball and another Ice Storm. Let's do another Dispel Magic, another Cure Serious Wounds. Dispel Magic, if I get unlucky enough to get, like, paralyzed or something, but Lakia gets to go and cast the spell before anybody attacks the character, I can remove paralysis with Dispel Magic. That's its main use. Most of the other level 3 spells are kind of eh. Maybe... I've never bothered with any others. There might be some that are okay. I can't remember what else, but for the most part, they really just aren't worth it. There's almost no disease in the game, so you don't have to worry about diseases. What are the other things that can be in their spell list? I don't know. I'll have to look the next time. So going through this also allows us to do the secret entrance into the Fire Knives hideout. The hideout is strangely quiet for such a normally active place. It's interesting that it says that when how would we know if the Fire Knives hideout is active or not? So there are a couple of things here. There's a destroyed checkpoint that was manned by fire knives, that was destroyed by Gari of Gond as he began his rescue attempt. The doors are now just being sealed, preventing your party's retreat into the sewer. There's another one that's being sealed that was abandoned by the fire knives, so we can go look at those if we want to. There's a blade barrier that Gari used in one of the rooms, which is a 6th level cleric spell, so that's how high a level of a cleric he is. Blade barrier is a really powerful spell you can use in Secret of the Silver Blades. There's a fire knife that's been held that we could go interrogate. Most of these I don't really care that much about. There's another place. We'll go ahead and go look at them all. Get the full experience. So it's different. The sewer battles I don't care much about, but again, I want to avoid as many random encounters as I can because they might have wizards, which can be long and tedious. That's the main reason I don't want to explore, but I guess if they're just 6 archers, we'll trade arrows with them for a while. I'm going to be saving all my spells for the big battle. It's not a bad fight, but it's still kind of slow and not really worth a whole lot. Of course, on the other hand, if they drop cash and I gather up enough of it, I might gather up 1,000 gold that I need to train Shara up. That'd be nice to guarantee that I'll be fine regardless. Okay, they've run out of arrows now. $500, I guess, isn't bad, but no, they don't drop any money. One of them had 1 arrow left for some reason. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna save and reload if we get into any more of these combats. It's just not worth it if they don't drop anything at all. From somewhere nearby, you hear a panicked voice. I went to get Kaiborth to interrogate the prisoner. His whole place was incinerated. This place must be cursed. There are signs that this is normally a checkpoint, but has been hurriedly abandoned. They aren't really sealing it that much, though, so yeah, we can retreat. Maybe after you rest is when they finally do stuff like that. Let's see, we will go this way and see the dead first, and then... if this is close combat, just 6 of them, we'll go ahead and fight. Not a bad place to put a stinking cloud. I've got enough of those, and I'm probably going to decimate most of the enemy ranks with 2 fireballs and an ice storm, as well as hasted fighters. Against the wall here, you see a stuffed figure of King Azaun. It shows the marks of innumerable knife tosses. Within the room are 2 rows of shrouded bodies. At the head of each row is a sign. One reads, "To be raised," the other, "To be buried." So they separate their dead on whether they're important enough to use raised magic on, which is raised dead magic on, which is interesting concept in a fantasy world. Is that another patrol of basic 6? Yeah, going to skip out of this one. Yeah. About the room are a number of people frozen in positions of battle. A couple have tumbled over and lie in awkward piles. A couple of them are beginning to move. What do you do? Interrogate. You disarm the fire knives as they return to mobility. They seem bewildered, and you gather some useful information and record it in Journal Entry 26. The men had been paralyzed by a spell cast by an invading cleric. He was after the prisoners held in the leader's room to the south. Luckily, he had finally been overcome in this room. So, the hold person doesn't last all that long, and neither does the blade barrier. You stop at the entrance to this room. In front of you is a cloud of blades whirling about one another. A metallic whine makes it almost impossible to hear. What do you do? Enter the blades is the dumb idea. You take damage. You wait. After a few moments, the blades slow down and fade away. The whine drops to a whisper and ends. The room looks as if others had been caught by the blades. In other words, not safe description or viewing for a kid-friendly show. There are some people who got minced by the blade barrier. It is it's one of the cooler level 6 spells. Alright, so and 7 is a torture chamber. Oh yeah, I guess we should go ahead and go rescue Gari. Of course, fire knife patrol. I can't remember if I just saved or not. We'll do this fight, whatever. Hopefully we don't get hit too many times. Although I could actively cast my healing spells to help recover us if I need to. Should have taken all the arrows from the last group I fought up close. The 3 in the front wouldn't have gotten to do any attacks, so could have had their full complement. Alright, 1 down. This dark and smoky room is adorned with all forms of torture implements on a rack in the middle of the room. On a rack in the middle of the room is a well-muscled, middle-aged man. Around him are fire knives working the equipment. The assassins are engrossed in their task and seem unaware of you. What do you do? And it's a basic 6, so we get a surprise round on them because they're unaware.
Wow, we're taking some hits. It's interesting that even 3K, at least with the fastest speed, if I wanted to see more of this, I could lower the speed of the game a bit. Maybe I will. Since, again, this isn't a speedrun, so I don't need it to go super duper fast. I generally do like games running faster anyway, even before I discovered speedrunning, but it's also sometimes nice to have a little bit of information, especially in the gold box games when they have text going into a battle, to not have it disappear immediately before I can finish reading it. Okay, good. You release the man from the rack as he collapses to the floor, and he collapses to the floor. He has suffered very badly at the hands of the fire knives. He whispers, "Don't worry about me. Rescue Nicasia. She's in here somewhere." He refuses all offers of assistance, insisting that you save your energy for the rescue. All he'll accept is his hammer that was leaning against the rack. He insists you go on without him. Whether you save him or not, he shows up at the end of this anyway, again in a, let's alter the speed to be a little bit slower. And see if, echoing through the silent corridors comes an angry voice. "Kybor's dead? Well, you were supposed to guard him, so you get the honor of killing Vanquish instead." Whatever that is. Secret door to the east, so now we don't get any encounters in this area. So let's see, what rooms are left? There's a hospital. None of the inhabitants are strong enough to hinder the party. The Armory, of course, which we want to loot. The office of Kybor. His library. His laboratory. We'll go look through those. Shouldn't be any encounters. Might be some overall equipment and information in some of the rooms at least. Some of them apparently have nothing of value, but we'll look through them anyway. Okay, we'll start with his office here. This is an ornate room, apparently the office of someone high up in the fire knives. Within the drawers of a rosewood desk, you find some interesting papers and record it in Journal Entry 9. Other items also come to your attention. It's the symbol of Tyranthraxis that's on our arm. 1. Flaming aura. 2. Can possess other bodies. 3. Involved with the pool of radiance. Because, and we've already heard about how his office was ruined and it was, just the work of flame consumed it and Kybor's dead, so apparently because he was trying to figure out who their ally Tyranthraxis was, and when investigating it, the Tyranthraxis himself came to end him. A short sword and military pick. Very random magic items. Good to know. At least that'll give us money, that'll be guaranteed money to train with once we're out of here, so. As you enter this hallway, you detect a strange smoky scent. Let's see. This is an extremely well-ordered bedroom. Everything seems exactly in place. The search of the room turns up nothing of particular value. As you leave, unseen servants start putting the room back in order. Just to show off kind of what a mage he was. Interesting that he didn't keep any of his valuables in his bedroom, but whatever. This room was once a library, but the shelves and their contents are now ash. Some parts are still smoking. In the center of the room is a charred body. Clutched in its hand is a piece of paper. The hand kept the paper from being destroyed. You take it and record it in Journal Entry 29. And so that, of course, is Kybor. The unburned part reads, "Our ally can control flames, skip from body to body, and exhibits an array of extra-dimensional powers. It is my conclusion that the flamed one can be none other than ... So yeah, I'm kind of a walking spoiler in this, that Dracandros is back for revenge on you all, and he's the final boss again. I'm glad I just saved it, because I don't think I can afford too many more battles since I've already taken some damage, so we're going to skip out on that. This is version 1.3, the patched version, and it has errors with things like the Girdle of the Dwarves. This was once a lab, but the same intense flame is swept through here as well. Nothing has escaped destruction. Okay. So no useful information there or anything. Nope. The room has been converted to a hospital. Wounded fire knives lie moaning in the beds. Those that can rush out through the west wall. You realize that the rest are harmless. Passing through, you hear various mutterings, and you record it in journal entry 27. The wounded men moan in terror about a hammer-wielding maniac in a room suddenly filled with flashing blades. They hope the leader's 2 prisoners are worth their trouble. Haha. 4, 10, 7, 9. It's decent enough. I can read the numbers now. Alright, I'm going to have Jara take the arrows of the guys in front. Yeah, because she's running out. This room seems to be used as a storage area. As you poke around, you discover a set of tables fitted with straps and some intricate tools. The tip of one has a bluish hue that matches your sigils. So in other words, this was the place that they put the bonds on us. And so that's why there would have been... There's a small area you can find a scrap of green. I don't think we ran into it in our trip through the sewers, but one of the random encounters you can get is a figure in green, which is the Cult of Moander. There's that paper dropped by the Zentarim guy who doesn't trust any of their allies. Dracandros was here as well, and on his way out dealt with Kybor. So they were all present for this bonding of us. You spot a checkpoint to the west. You found the Armory. You find a large metal box. Do you open it? Yes. And here is some more of our treasures. So there's going to be a necklace we're going to take here. Jara we're going to give the Elven Chainmail to, just for maximum movement speed since she's mostly in the back. These bracers are cursed, I believe. The first longsword is a longsword +3. The second is a longsword +1 flame tongue, which is kind of a weird weapon. It does... Like, the Frostbred longsword does 6 to fiery enemies, such as, you know, your basics. The Military pick is better, huh? Nope, not anymore. This is what we want. Trade these to... Actually, trade the short sword to Shara. Although if the military pick is one-handed, it's probably better than the short sword. We'll trade that to Shara for now. And drop the long sword. Elven Chainmail is slightly less armor class, but it does give 12 movement and is almost no weight, so... Might have almost been better for the cleric, actually, in this case, but... Because then the cleric could maneuver around to throw the necklace of missiles. With this longsword, he's probably not even going to worry about arrows anymore on auto, so I'm going to go ahead and trade all of his arrows to Jara. Eventually I'll be able to buy, if I get enough money, and it would be worth it to pick up a bunch of +1 arrows. It would be nice to find some magical bows, but I think they're pretty rare in Curse, if I remember right. You just have a normal longsword, so you can drop it. And you also have a normal longsword that you can now drop because you have a +1. And these are both a +2 mace and flail. So actually, if I wanted to rely on the +2 of the mace more, we could do that instead. That's a +1 flail that I got. Again, magical shields are kind of rare too. There are 2 +2 shields, which are the best you find in the game. Decent amount of magical armor in various places, but mostly good weapons. All sorts of good weapons. We already have +2 flail, +2 mace, +1 flail, +1 longsword. These two I found were random, the military pick and everything. How much does the military pick do? 1d6. It's a +2 military pick. Unless it does 1d6 +1, which might be the case. How does it compare to the short sword? So it does 1d6 +1, so it's just a +1 military pick, but decent enough. So all that's left is the bracers, right? Yeah, that's cursed. I'll take it just in case, but I'm pretty sure they're cursed bracers. Alright, so we take that step, we'll get there. We're going to go ahead and cast all of our spells for this, including haste, prayer, maybe it doesn't affect our ages in this game, or it's supposed to when it wears off. That was a big feature of haste in the first edition, which actually comes up in the novel for the Azure Bonds as well. At one point, the mage, Akabar Belakash, who we will be meeting later on, and doesn't have the spell in the game here. He's a basic 5th level mage without anything but a base fireball spell. He casts haste on... they have to team up with a red dragon at one point, and Akabar casts haste on the red dragon, and it's like, the year that it normally ages you a year, but it doesn't matter to a dragon because they live for hundreds of years. So that the dragon moves faster. Amusing little point when they integrate, game rules like that into the world. Okay, let's do it. You are at a checkpoint. The Fire Knives demand your immediate surrender. Do you surrender? Sure. You're being taken to their leader. You meet the leader of the Fire Knives. With a sinister sneer, he speaks, and you record it in Journal Entry 11. Your arrival is well timed. We expect the king to fall into our backup trap. It is unfortunate that you attacked the wrong target, but let me introduce the man you tried to kill. He gestures over to 2 prisoners tied up against the wall that we can see in the picture here. One is a thin bearded man, and the other is a young woman with a tattered purple sash. The man you tried to kill is Joji Wyvernspur, an excellent mimic. Turning to Joji. Perhaps you could give us another rendition of the king's voice. Joji looks at you and blanches. Also, let me introduce the woman who made the king's arrival possible, Princess Nicasia. At this point, the princess slips her bond, sweeps up a handy club, and brains the leader. Quick, she yells, dispose of his guards before the leader can evoke your bonds. A battle begins. Okay, now we age going into the fight. That's funny. Oh, blast. And we got shot with an arrow right off the bat. I need to remember to quit auto combat as soon as it enters, but I also want to get off a spell as soon as possible, so I'm not going to take getting shot to start this off. Oh, I should have gone with her and had her attack the mage. What does it take to get my character to go? Okay, he just magic missiled for 6. That's not bad. $23 is a bad roll, but it one-shot the mage, so... We'll go ahead and use the necklace. This is a decent time, too, since, since we're already level 7 fighters, when we go into combat, we get, with haste spell, we get 3 attacks per turn. That's it. Yep. Alright, now's a good time to detect if they have any magic. A joe stick and a longsword. Joe stick is a short stick. I think a bow stick is a longer one. For some reason, the bow stick is basically just a staff, which any 80s kid who watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles knows as well. Donatello used specifically a bow staff. The joe stick being a short half one, and it does very little damage, but... Now that the Fire Knives have been defeated, the princess threatens the leader, and you record it in Journal Entry 54, and our bond fades away, so let's read about how that happens. The princess has been talking with the slightly recovered leader. With a dagger to his throat, he croaks, "All right, I'll release them." He mouths a meaningless syllable, and your bonds fade. Just as you said about freeing Joji, the room shakes, and you record it in Journal Entry 53. Suddenly the roof vaporizes, and King Azau and his wizard Vangerderhast, and a troop of royal guards descend into the room. One of the guards points at your party and says, "Those are the ones who tried to kill you, your highness." The princess leaps and stands between you and her father. "They were under the Fire Knives' control. They couldn't help themselves. Besides that, they saved me." The king looks at you and the princess. "Well, the fact remains that you attempted to kill me. Also, it looks as though you wear more controlling bonds. I will not slay you, but you are banished from all Cormyr lands." The royal guards come up and begin escorting you out. Suddenly, the far door opens, and Gari of Gon steps unsteadily into the room. As you leave the room, you see the princess run over to him, and they embrace. Heading out of the hideout, you hear the king saying, "Nicasia, it is time for you to accept the duties of a princess." The voices fade. You are taken to the outskirts of town, and the guards leave. As you decide on your next move, a horse pounds out of the gate, bearing Gari and Nicasia. She waves as they race north. On the first night outside the city, you are all overcome by a strange lethargy. Even the watch drifts off. Then, without warning, you are gripped in a vivid dream. 4 faces leer down at you, contemptuous of your success. A dark and foreboding voice intones, "The first and weakest of your masters has fallen. Now your feet are set on the path to servitude. You shall serve each of us in turn, though your spirit rebels. The wizard in red, the woman in green, and the lord of the black. Finally, your souls quenched, you shall be pawns of the flamed one." The faces laugh with evil joy. The dream fades, and you awaken a cold sweat. You're at the edge of Tilverton. In the city, you're continuing your journey. We can't enter the city. So, even though supposedly we slept, we didn't. So we need to get our sleeping done. So yeah, remove curse is okay only if you get cursed. Blindness and disease is not really... You could try to cause blindness on people, but I never liked relying on status effects like that. So yeah, prayer and dispel magic are your mostly usable... Oh wait, I need to do prayer. Mainly usable spells there. if the third protection from evil 10-foot radius was the 4th level, it might be worth doing as a buff as well. During certain fights, especially, that bonuses that it gives can be nice, but I'd much rather have the cure spells for fast fixing and possible recovery if I'm desperate. Because there are moments where that can happen, especially playing casually if you're doing a lot more of the other things. Okay, so we've memorized all of our spells. Alright, as we journey to Ashben Ford, we get attacked by hippogriffs. Fireball and Ice Storm have the same AoE outdoors. Very good Fireball there, finally. Oh, we got a lot of money from he's weighed down for money because we got a lot of it. That's interesting. You're at the edge of Ashben Ford. We'll enter the city now. Let's go to the store first. Pool all of our money. Identify everything we got here. Speed, giant strength, invisibility, extra healing, the frostband, bracers, armor class 10. I can sell that for 1,000 gold. Okay, sure. Flame Tongue, so Frostbrand is +3, but it does double +6 against fire monsters, which makes sense. The Frostbrand does +2, +3, or +4 versus various kinds of things. How much can I sell that for? 2,500? I'll keep it for now. It might be useful if something happens to one of my stats, maybe. Since we have all 18, it's probably not that great, but whatever. Oh, this is a longsword +2. Interesting. Oh, that's the random longsword we got. Being +2, no wonder she ran into combat. Okay. We're going to trade that to Randus. And trade that to you. Sell the military pick and the short sword. We'll buy some more arrows, too. Oh, this place charges double for everything. Doesn't really matter that much. We have lots of money. $237 arrows. 163 arrows. 104 arrows. That'll be fine. And the staff sling +1. Because her strength isn't as good, she doesn't automatically assume that a +2 melee weapon is better than ranged, which is nice. Although I don't want to auto-combat her anyway because she has the necklace, so... And the Dust of Disappearance, which I may copy once for one point of the game. If I decide to go take on the Mole Master Beholder Corps, I will probably go ahead and multiply up the Dust of Disappearance for that battle, because it's virtually impossible without it. I'm not going to do a challenge run of doing that. Alright, what have we got? 700 platinum, and we don't even have to do our gems yet. That's nice. So if we find a magic shop somewhere, there are a couple places we could potentially find a magic shop. We have some money we could spend on that, especially with this jewelry. Because we all have 2 pieces of jewelry, which could be anywhere from like 500 gold to 7,000 gold, so... So let's go to the hall. Not enough experience. Shara hadn't trained yet, so now she can get enough. Those guys don't have enough experience yet either, so... We're still a ways away from, or at least a little bit away from our next level. I think they have the things here. I should... Nope, Curse of the Azure Bonds does not have the tables in the journal. They must be in the player book. Yes, I am. Did you forget about that? I started doing that a few weeks ago. Or are you just surprised that they don't look any different? Alright, my next cleric level is at 225,000 experience. So, let's see, how much experience does she have? 133. So she needs 100,000 more experience before she can level. We might get that if we do everything in the Dark Elf area. Fighters will level at 250, so rather similar. We need about 100,000 for them as well. That's okay. And magic user at 250 as well, surprisingly, so she needs about 140,000. Because of the overflow of experience she had maxing out at level 6 in the previous game, she's a little bit behind there, but we will need to get 375,000 to reach the maximum level we can for the magic user, at least. That would put the fighters only at level 9. We can get the fighters up to level 12, which will be... But that would take over 1 million experience. So that's the max they can reach. And would probably, if we get that far, would put the magic user at the same point she was in the previous game, where she'd be able to level, get 10 experience, and then level again. So yeah, I'll definitely want to try to get maximum level. Cleric maxes out at 6, because at 10, because she can't get 6 level spells. So she's going to be way, again, limited on her EXP, but we'll see how that goes. So we've got 100k to go. 250,000 is what we're looking at for our characters, so... On to the village of Haptooth. Alright, so we don't have any... She has the Fireball and Ice Storm that she used. Okay, journey to the Standing Stone. We want to go by Wilderness to avoid Fire Knife patrols. You are at the Standing Stones. A gray-robed man sits against a stone, his face covered in shadow. He speaks. You presently serve 4 masters. Return to me when you have slain 3 more. Then you shall achieve your destiny. What do you do? Thank him, attack, or leave. Just to show what happens, we're going to attack. The rope collapses when you attack. From above comes a voice. Seek red to the south. Every time you come to the Standing Stones, this, Deus Ex Machina character tells you where you should go. It's actually fully open. The 2 northern cities, the white one on the eastern edge of the lake there is Zentil Keep, and that's where the next person is. And then the green city closest to it is Ulash, and that's where the other two enemies are. We could go there first if we wanted. You can do the next 3 in any order, but it's generally best to do it in the order that's required, that's based on level-wise, although the Dark Elves are relatively difficult and strong. It's still a little bit easier than trying to fight the minions of Moander and then the hordes of clerics that you have to face in Zentil Keep. You can patrol the forest here to basically incite rather high-level enemies with decent experience, so this is your grinding spot in the game if you really want to grind out experience. It's still kind of slow. You know, at 2,000 experience, in order to get 1,000,000 experience points to reach high level, you'd have to do 500 battles, I think. But some of them might be worth a little bit more than that, but it's roughly about 2,000 to a full party, I believe, if I recall correctly. So if you're a couple experience points shy and you really want to level up, though, you can do a grind or do there by patrolling the forest. We go to Asembra. You get an encounter if you go by Wilderness, but it's a friendly one, so you want to avoid that in the speedrun, but we'll do it here. Centaurs approach you and offer you hospitality. What do? You can choose to combat them if you really want the experience or, you know, just stupid for battle. But they take you to their village and exchange tales with you and record it in Journal Entry 45. Then you part company. The Centaurs recently had a brush with spiders and Thry-Kreen. These monsters were heading north, apparently on a treasure hunting expedition. They were probably headed for Mythdraenor. The Thry-Kreen can avoid arrows, and their phase spiders are unhittable after they strike. So that's a warning about some of the enemies you'll meet in the ruins of Mythdraenor at the end of the game. You can avoid combat with Thry-Kreen by telling them that you serve Tyranthraxus, and they're like, we don't want to get on his bad side. We're just, searching around. We know he's charged of this place. We'll leave you alone. The spiders are dumb, though, so they'll attack you regardless. They're mindless, looking for prey to eat. Rarely, I think the Thry-Kreen do have some phase spiders with them, but phase spiders also fight alone, so. You're at the edge of Asembra. Will you enter or continue your journey? We're again going to journey on to the village of Hap, and again, it doesn't matter if we go by trail or wilderness. We're attacked by 3 black dragons. Okay, excellent. Oh, interesting. How did that happen? Oh, I messed up again. I did a dumb. No wonder he's... Okay, Merrimack has now been nerfed into weakness. Man, that stinks. Because the red Iron Stone, I put it on for a second. It probably raises your strength to a maximum of 18. So, again, with the weird way that items that raise your stats work in this game, it now glitched him to the point where he only has an 18 strength instead of higher than that. Okay, I think I'm going to go looking for a character editor sometime soon just to fix that, because that's dumb. And I haven't noticed. I noticed that he was kind of slow. What am I doing? I'm going to cast a spell. That's what I'm going to do. That black dragon only has 5 hit points left already. A weak fireball and or one that they Oh, she can see the other one. Oh, wow. Hit with claw bite. Okay. I ended up trading it to him just to get it out of my inventory for some reason, but yeah. Now with an 18 maximum strength, that is just awful, awful to have. For several reasons, but number one, it's a loss of +2 to hit and +4 damage, so he's doing 4 less damage than he should be, has 2 less chance to hit, and he has incredible encumbrance problems, so now he's down to a 3 movement all the time, which is really awful. He does have a bow, and he has the weakest weapon, so... but he has more hit points than Jara, so I don't really want to swap Jara out because she happens to have benefited the other way. Well, kind of a short run, but I don't want to continue with my character only having an 18 strength, and unfortunately I've saved after that, so I'm going to fix this before I continue. So it'll be a short stream. We'll go ahead and put it up there, and I'll continue next time after I've fixed this. That's the start to Curse of the Azure Bonds. We have a whole lot more Curse of the Azure Bonds ahead of us, because that was only the first and by far easiest of the 3 enemies that we have to overcome.